Here's some video that I shot of a quick shop project I did in November. It was a fun little project, but it was not my design. I actually picked it up from Woodworking from Mere Mortals, Steve Ramsey's channel on YouTube. So initially, I don't know, if you watched Steve Ramsey's channel, you'll see that I'm cutting it vertically, whereas he cut the laminated plywood horizontally. I felt like this worked a little bit better from my application. I was able to clamp that plywood into the crosscut sled there. Just seemed to work out pretty good. So what I had to do was make 3 passes per slot. So this took quite a bit of time to complete. Even with the video sped up, I had to cut a lot of it. Of course, with any woodworking project, you gotta do some sanding. Actually, got some tripods so that I could avoid this vibration you see here every time I do something or affect something. There's a little vibration on the workbench, and that's because I had the camera sitting on the workbench before. Now I have some tripods. It makes it a little easier to not have to worry about that kind of stuff. Here we start up the glue up. All I'm using for the backing there is just a piece of, it's not even particle board, it's like a hardboard paper wafer board. It's actually really cheap stuff, but it was just, this is all scrap that I found laying around the shop. The You'll see it in the shot coming up that the plywood is actually horribly warped. And get that clamp on there quite right. And I was kind of trying to decide how I was going to keep that from falling off the workbench. So now I'm getting it all clamped up. Probably check for square again. Throw on some extra clamp. Oh, we'll screw it together. I had pre-drilled and countersunk all the holes in the back of that board. Made the assembly really quick. I know I've got this video sped up right now, but it only took me about 5-10 minutes to do this whole process. I'm using sawdust there to clean up the excess wood glue. I picked that up from another YouTube guy, Matthias Wandel. So I slowed this down a little just so you could see that I kind of messed that up right there. I was trying to put that piece on the wrong end at the wrong angle. Kind of made me laugh. I just did that completely freehand. Put the screws right into the back of that piece of wood. Yet again, another mistake on which way it went. Unfortunately, this piece didn't go in as well as the first one did. I had to come up with a clamping solution. Unfortunately, that stupid bottle is sitting in the way, so you can't see. So what I did is I took the spring clamp and then used the uh, quick grip clamp and actually clamped the spring clamp against the other piece because there's no way to clamp against that angle. So after an hour or two, a little bit less of a mess, started clamping it. Pretty satisfied with how it turned out. Actually had the screws hanging out the back just a tiny bit, so I could just line them up with the holes that are already pre-drilled. Just making sure everything's lined up still. Wasn't quite enough room to get the drill in on some of those screws, so just doing a little manual turn. Checking to make sure it's going to work for me. That's something I really like about it. It's so easy to put the clamps up on it. Here in a second, I'll start putting the C-clamps on there too. And the only reason I'm doing that right now is because, well, I don't have a full set of the clamps yet, and I don't have another place to hang all these other little clamps and the spring clamps I'll put on here in a second too. But as of right now, there's enough room for everything, so it's not a big deal. All right, well, that's it. That's all the clamps on there.